Hello and welcome back to today's lesson of 3D drawing on V-Model Railway. Again, we're going to be working on the jib runner here for the Cowan Sheldon crane we're working on. And what I'm thinking about working and looking at today is sorting out the stretcher bar here for the jib. So if you look at the bar here, it's pretty much symmetrical. So you've got two D shackles on the top, both facing the same direction, and there's two D shackles on the bottom here. I haven't really got many pictures that show particularly well inside the hopper. I'm assuming that they're probably laying outwards, not inwards, so that if they're laying inwards, they're to hang down to go down the side of something. So if they hang towards the inside, the bottom of the shackle would be sitting underneath the I-beam, whereas if they hang diagonally outwards, the I-beam can sit flush on the floor with those shackles then laying down onto the floor on the outside. So as I say, it's pretty much symmetrical. So we're only going to draw half of it and then mirror across. And I'm going to create this as a new body as well, so that potentially if we need to, we can print it separately rather than just having it printing as the one part, as part of the underframe here. But there is that flexibility that if we do want to just do it as one part, we can just combine them later. Okay, so jump into Fusion, we'll make sure that radio button is checked for the runner here. And let's have a look on the canvas to see if the I-beam's drawn on. It is. Okay, so you can see its position. We're going to be drawing it flush to the floor, and symmetrical, we're going to use the middle point. Okay, so if we create a sketch initially, turn the canvas off, and that sketch is going to be on the are we going to do it on the bottom surface? Yes, I think I am. I'm going to draw it on that bottom surface initially. I'm just going to draw a rectangle like that, and I'm going to extrude it. In fact, let's just define its position. Why is this lagging a little bit? So let's call it 30 mil long, and the width will go 3 millimeters. Position to the edge. Photos. That one's not greatest. It's probably 1.5 foot or so in. So we'll go for 2.5. Maybe change that. Width's already defined, and it's the distance from the end of the hopper there. Let's just change that to 2 initially. Okay, if we extrude this upwards, turn the canvas on, we can see whether we're in the right place. No, this end's fine. Okay, so it's coming up by 4 millimeters, and it's as a new body. Okay, so we can see the length we've got. The length is massively wrong here. So we can edit that sketch onto the bottom rather than top. And we can define this. Let's bring that down to 25 millimeters. Still a little bit too long. Don't know why I keep going to the bottom, that's annoying. Let's go for 23.5 millimeters. Typical, we would probably be in the middle there. I'll just do it like this. 24 millimeters. Okay, so yeah, 24 millimeters is probably going to be about right. Okay, let's have a look on the top surface and see if we've got a sketch from our canvases. Okay, so we can see position-wise where it's supposed to be, but bearing in mind we've made the wagon significantly wider than the sketch. again, all about compromises. So position-wise, I think we're there or thereabouts. Maybe needs to be a little bit narrower. Yeah, that probably only looks like it's maybe a foot wide. So let's have a look at the sketch there. Define the width, that's 3. So let's bring that down to 2 millimeters. Okay, and now if we bring this down to 12, that's going to give us our mirror point, and we can use the center point then to mirror across. Finish that sketch. Okay, so if we turn all the other bodies off, we'll get the cancels off as well. We're going to turn that into an I-beam now. So if we keep the body 26 turned on, let's get rid of the main body chassis. We're going to look at end-on wise. We're going to draw a sketch on the end here. Define the distance from the top down. I'm going to go as 0.4 millimeters. Define that as 2 mil. So let's define the width of the intake as, let's go 0.7. That leaves a 0.6 mil. Probably a bit too thin actually. I'm going to go 0.5 just to get a bit of meat down that centre piece. Let's just draw another rectangle on the other side. If we just come across and snap to that point there, and then down to that point, define the width as 0.5. Okay, so that's all now constrained. We can then select those two profiles and extrude them all the way through to this back surface. So we've now got our I-beam shape. Okay, so now we've got that, the next thing we need to do is start looking at the D shackle. If we turn on the canvas here, you can see, yeah, we've got this in the right point of the midplane. There's our D shackle sitting here. What's going to be the best way to draw this? So if we try and have a look at the pictures, I'm thinking maybe let's just draw some sort of circle that comes through. I'm trying to find a really good, yeah, that's probably the best one. So we've got a few circles. Oh, actually, we've got these rectangles to draw here. So let's draw those, and then we'll come back to the D shackle. So we've got these plates. If we turn the main chassis body off, yes, you can see them on the sketch as well. So draw on this inside surface, and they're just going to be rectangular shapes. That's snapping to the top of the I-beam there. Snaps that bottom corner to find the width. Let's go 2 millimeters just for ease. That's all then defined. And if we draw one here as well, define the width is going to be 2 millimeters. Snap that in. Define the distance from the end. 1.3. That's all defined now, and then we can select those two and extrude them forward slightly. I'm not going to come particularly far forwards, maybe 0.15, I think, just to give it a bit of plate relief. Okay, so then let's look at the picture again. That's this one. We've got a few different size circles here. Okay, so let's create a sketch on that surface there. Lagging a little bit. Ever since this latest update they've done on Fusion, it's just been a little bit laggy on my laptop. Let's find the midpoint. Is it going to be a midpoint? It looks like it probably should be. Yeah, it probably should be. Let's use the midpoint and drag outwards. Okay, I'm going to go 1.3 millimeters in that. I'm going to bring that forward to 0.15 millimeters. And then I'm going to draw another circle off of there. That's going to be 1 millimeter, I think. Picture. I'm going to bring that forward 0.3 millimeters, and then there's another circle on top of that. And that's going to be 0.8 millimeters. So you can see we've got like the different steps coming down here. And I'm going to extrude this forwards as well. Let's go 0.3 millimeters now. What we need to make sure is that actually sits proud, which it doesn't. Because clearly the D shackle's got to come around. So that's probably going to space. I reckon this bit should be sitting proud. So this inner surface here needs to come forwards. If we extrude that, that's going to go to that face. So that this part then sits proud. I'm going to make that one wider. I'm going to go for 0.5 on that. And that's going to be the width of our shackle coming around, I think. I'm actually probably going to go wider than that because I'm thinking about printing it and how well it's going to come out. I'm going to go 0.8. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is mirror this lot over. Trying to think about the best way to do this. Might be actually to just split this in half and then mirror it all across. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Means I need to draw a. No, I don't. I'm going to create a mid plane between those top two faces, and then I should be able to mirror this across using the mirror tool. And just select the features. So we're going to want try and find the that one, the two plates, and then all of the circles that we've just drawn there. The mirror plane's going to be that center point. Click on OK. Good. Okay, so we then need to draw the D shackle. Those planes off. Okay, so the next thing is to draw the shackle going round. So I think what we're going to do there is not that one. We're going to construct a axis through cylinder. Turn off this canvas so we can see it. We use that. That's created that axis point, and I can do a plane and angle off that point like that. Okay, so you do plane through an axis on the center of the spindle here, which creates that axis going through the middle, and then we can create a plane at an angle off of that. Okay, so the next thing, if we have that canvas on, is we're going to rotate this round, so you can see the planes here matching the same angle. So it looks about 20 degrees, so I'm probably going to go with that initially, and then we'll see how that looks and how it draws. Okay, so we rotate to the top now, and let's have a look at this. So yeah, you can see it bends there. Does it look like that? Yeah, it does. Okay, so how are we going to draw that? So if we create a drawing off of that plane at an angle we've just drawn, didn't want it to rotate there, not helpful. Okay, let's find the midpoint on here, if we can draw on that surface. Can't, it's a pain. Let's draw a line, see if it will midpoints. Yeah, midpoint, that point. No, it's not. Can't constrain it. No, it won't either. Okay, I'm probably just going to have to draw this then. So if we use spline points, so I'm initially constraining it to the midpoint of this circle here. I'm going to come out straight slightly and put a little bit of curve outwards, and then start to curve this round like that. And then draw a straight line down here and to there, and turn those into construction lines. That one is construction line. Okay, so we know that this is 2mm wide. So finding the midpoint of that is going to be a pain. If we do symmetry, so if we should be able to no, symmetry is not going to work on there. We're going to mirror that sketch on that. So mirror that sketch across the mirror line using that one. Like that, yes, that's what we're after. Okay, so if we, this handle here, I didn't want to do that, undo that. I want to change that hand, stop moving like that. Let's undo the mirror to start with and see if we can change this handle to start. Yes, we've got to do that first. So we do that, and what we want is that to be horizontal. So if we select the whole handle and then click horizontal, that'll snap that so it's straight. And then if we do the same on this handle here, make sure that's snapped straight there. That's it, and then we can mirror this all over. And use that as the mirror line there. Okay, so we've got that shape, which is what we're after. If we now do a pipe across there, tell it to join, that's going to give us our shackle. Let's see how that looks. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit on the angle, but I'm happy with the shape. I'm just going to increase the section size to 0.7, just so it's a little bit beefier. And I'm going to, as I say, I'm going to change the angle here using our plane at an angle. I'm just going to edit that to bring it back a little bit straighter. So if we go minus 18 millimeters, the reason I want that is I need it really to be touching here. So this is all supported and strong here. If it's floating up in the air, that's going to become very brittle. And obviously it's got to be touching in real life because it is laying on top there. Obviously it's not going to be touching that much. So we've now got that shackle drawn there. I'm pretty happy with its shape actually. It's sort of, it's not perfect to match that, but it's a pretty good match, I think. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is draw the shackle on the other end. Now looking at the photos that I've got, I can't show you the photo that shows this clearly, but it is a much shorter shackle on this end. The photo I'm looking at has come off of the internet, so I can't show you it unfortunately. So we're just going to create a sketch on here. We're going to use a similar design for these parts here. So if we use the midpoint, come up, and then 1.3 millimeters for the top one. Define its position. Extrude this the same height as that one. Join. Sketch on this front surface. The next one we did was 1 millimeter. Extrude that, and that was to that surface area. Join, and another one on top of it. I think that's 0.8. This one. Nope, that's not drawn out properly. Extrude to that surface. Okay, and we move it across on plane 16. Minimize that. Select that, and that's the 3 circles mirroring on plane 16, which is the midpoint across the IV. Put it on both sides now. Good. Okay, so we use the same process for drawing the shackle. So we get the access through the cylinder. Select the face, which is going to be that end one. Click on OK, and then plane at an angle to that axis. Turn the canvas off so we can actually see the. So there's our plane. It's going to come down. As I say, it's much shorter on the photo. It's going to come down to about here. So we've got a 35-degree angle. Click on OK. Wait for that to compute, and then I can draw off that face. Look straight down. We're going to use a similar process. Going to be using the spline points. Let's draw actually a line that comes across roughly where the middle is on here. That comes out. I'm going to turn those both into construction lines and use that spline point tool to make something that sort of looks and resembles a little bit like the shackle. Okay, and then if we select that, handle here and tell that to be vertical, and then say move that handle wants to be horizontal. These are drawn as construction lines. Let's turn that back off. That's it. Okay, and then we can mirror that across. So select that, mirror line being center point. Okay. Finish the sketch and then pipe it. Picking the two sides. This one I'm going to do slightly narrower, I think, because it will be touching the base. I'm going to bring that down to 0.5. Okay, you can see that I'm going to want to shorten this up a little bit, so I'm going to do that by using the angle rather than changing the length of the pipe itself. Okay, so I've gone to 28 there. Just want to see if I get a line on here that I can see. See how it's just touching. Yeah, so with that just touching, I'm going to be happy that that will be okay. I can support it underneath when I print it. Yeah, happy with that. So let's finish that sketch and delete it because we don't need it. Okay, so that's pretty much our I-beam done. I think we've just got to mirror it over. Let's turn these two planes off so we don't be able to see them. That's it. Okay, so a quick look at the pictures. Is there anything else on here that we're missing? I don't think there is. I think that's pretty much done. So we're going to mirror this across now. So if we mirror the body, and then the mirror plane is going to be this inside face there. Click on OK. And then what we'll do is we'll turn everything else back on so we can see what it looks like all together. Okay, so there's our I-beam sitting within the wagon. I'm really happy with that. Have a look at the pictures. We'll see if we can compare the lengths. So that looks like, yeah, it's sort of halfway between here maybe. Maybe a little bit short, but it depends on the angle you're looking at. Maybe the positions of the whole thing needs to move out slightly, but because being a separate body, you can just glue this in place wherever you feels best on your body. But I think the length-wise, I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to leave this lesson here today because obviously that's taken probably 25 minutes or so to draw that up. So I'm going to finish the lesson off and then we'll come back on the next lesson and we'll fill the rest of the hopper in here. I think there's realistically it's just like the bits of sleepers they use for the jacking points, things like that. So we'll fill this all in here on the next lesson. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to make sure you're notified when I upload new videos.